Hello, I'm David Uy, Executive Director of the Chinese American Museum here in Washington, D.C. We are the first and only museum in the U.S. Capitol dedicated to the Chinese American story. Thank you for joining us today for the Love of Qipao, part of our companion series for our exhibit here at the Chinese American Museum, D.C. And that exhibit is Fashioning Identity in Qipao, the image of modern women, on exhibit until October 14th, I believe. So I've learned two things when starting this new museum. People love it when we talk about food, and they love it when we talk about Qipao. Qipao is the quintessential dress for Chinese women. It isn't just a beautiful article of clothing, it's a complicated history that tracks both social and political movements and the changing times for women in both the East and the West. And for many Americans, it really still is a way of connecting to their cultural heritage. So I'm honored to be joined by people that are both knowledgeable and passionate about Qipao. Dr. Yan Sun is a professor of Chinese art history in the Department of Art and History at Gettysburg College. Her research and publications are on the art of archaeology of early China, particularly on social and cultural identities in the frontiers during the Bronze Age. She's directed annual student-curated exhibitions on various themes at her college and gallery since 2014. Mingming Yang is a Qipao designer, Shanghai-style traditional clothing collector, an advocate of Chinese clothing etiquette, and she is the founder and chief designer of the Qipao Haute Couture brand, and she is the vice chairwoman of the Clothing Culture Committee in the Chinese Culture Promotion Association. And she's a popular guest lecturer among famous Chinese universities, the exclusive Qipao designer for the winner of Miss World competition. And Julia James will also join us and speak about her fabulous collection of Qipao dresses and her love for the fashion. Translating for us today are Lauren Lee and Leah G. We don't do too many webinars where we're doing translation, so bear with us as we work our way through it. And we'll probably just add a little bit of time to the webinar to allow for the time that it takes to do some of the translation. So just a quick housekeeping note. This is a webinar format, so the participants in the audience cannot be seen or heard, but you can ask questions in the Q&A and chat features of Zoom, and we will do our best to try to answer those. And Lauren and Leah can also ask the questions if you put them in characters. So, Dr. Sun, let's begin with you. Can you give us some context for the history and importance of this fashion? It's obviously much more than a dress.
Thank you, David. Yeah, thank you for the introduction. I also want to use this opportunity to thank the individuals who really helped in different aspects of this exhibition. I want to thank the museum for inviting me to be the guest speaker for this for guest curator for this exhibition, also for guest speaker for this panel. So I'm going to use visual arts to give a brief introduction to the history of Qipao. So as David, said, Qipao really was the quintessential dress for Chinese women in the Republic, era. Its origin and history are closely intertwined with women's quest for equality and independence, during China's rapid modernization and urbanization in the earlier 20th century. The earliest qipao stylistically resemble both the man's long robe, known as cangsan in Cantonese, and the loose angular dress worn by Manchu women in the Qing dynasty. During the 1930s and 40s in cosmopolitan Shanghai, qipao was invigorated with a new life and became extremely fashionable. The invention of artificial silk and the introduction of a machine-woven fabric with richly printed patterns from the West greatly expanded and enriched the qipao design vocabulary. In the earlier decades of the 20th century, Western and Chinese companies in Shanghai eagerly promoted and sold their products to the rapidly rising middle class. Young stylish women clad in qipao in advertisement calendar posters became an irresistible visual attraction. The fabric and design of the qipao, worn by movie stars, such as Ruan Lingyu in the Coke advertisement in the center of my slide, and ideal beauties in the lacquer and cosmetic posters on each side, were deliberately chosen to present a multifaceted persona of women who were either sexualized or idealized in order to tap into the psyche of the consumers and entice both men and women to buy the products. Elegant actresses such as Zhou Xuan on the left here and Hu Die in these photos and socialites of the time demonstrated their fashion and aesthetic sensibility by blending qipao with Western garments. Simultaneously, qipao entered the world stage on the bodies of famous and influential Chinese women who used their wardrobe as a signifier of Chinese culture heritage. Qipao was also the chosen fashion to express individual and group identity of Chinese American women in the earlier 20th century. These photos, shot on May 10, 1938, captured the iconic image of a Chinese American women participating a community-wide Solidarity Day parade in New York to protest the Japanese invasion of China. These women were carrying a 200-pound national flag of the Republic of China and walked the first 3.5-mile parade route. These images of women sent a powerful message of a Chinese American community's passionate connection to the motherland that was suffering from the war. Anna May Wang, Huang Liushuang, the first Chinese American film star in Hollywood, never shied away from embracing and celebrating her Chinese culture heritage through fashion. Qipao became her dress of choice on and off the silver screen. She looked glamorous, beautiful, and confident in qipao. Her courage and talent enabled her to survive and rise above the intense racism and discrimination in Hollywood and American society in the earlier 20th century. In the 1980s, after a 3-decade hiatus, qipao made an exciting return to mainland China and re-emerged as a dress showcasing Chinese culture roots. The globalization that began in the earlier 2000s has given qipao a whole new look, which was well demonstrated in this qipao style dress designed by Ralph Lauren in the exhibition. Influential designers worldwide, including Miss Yang Mingming, our distinguished speaker today, has transformed the dress into high fashion on the runway. Thank you for listening.
Shiba. 从头开始。对 ，OK， 好。Good morning, everyone. 大家中午好。Thanks for the warm invitation of Chinese American Museum at DC. 我是杨明明 ，OK， 今天很高兴来到我们的直播间，向美国的朋友来分享中国的旗袍文化。好，我们华人都属于这样一个传统而又时尚的潮流，所以在 OK。
Good morning, everyone.
Hello.
Miss Yang here is very, very honored to be invited in this awesome panel talk for the love of Qipao. And she gave her sincere thanks to all of you who attended this webinar. And she is so excited to bring this China new look to the globe.
Thank you. Yes. 在11年之前，其实在欧洲因为时常在这边讲课和游历，所以萌生了一个想法，能够把中国现代的这样一个旗袍 style 能够做一个与时俱进的推进，所以我觉得也是每一位华人女性的心愿，能够让自己更加的完美，通过这样自己华夏民族的一件优美的服饰来体现自己。
Miss Yang has traveled across Europe while studying, and while she was traversing the beautiful landscapes of Europe, she had an epiphany, and she realized that it is her duty to bring this wonderful traditional Chinese culture dress across the world to let every woman across the globe to experience this form of ideal beauty.
英国诗人济慈曾经说过：“美的事物是永恒的享受。”那么，作为其实美的分享，所以我创立了那旗袍的美学系统以及设计系统希望能够借以分享给更多的人群，热爱中国文化以及为自己的民族自豪的华人。
British poet Shelley once said that beauty is a form of voiceless joy. It is a form of eternal happiness. And Miss Yang's Qipao studio is found in this principle, in the pursuit of ideal beauty, and to bring this beauty across the globe.
好的，大家可以看到我其实是看到我的 PPT 文件。那么现在我正身处在上海，我的工作室背后就是黄浦江，所以上海是一个海派的城市，也是旗袍的基因能够用中华的传统融汇世界的美。
Miss Yang, I believe that you are not sharing your screen on the PowerPoint. It's not showing.
Yeah.
杨老师，您的屏幕是没有 share screen 的。
OK 没有 share screen， 现在可以了。好的，好，刚好介绍大家可以看到我这个身后，其实就是黄浦江上海的母亲河。OK.
Right now, Miss Yang is in her Qipao studio, and you can see in the background of her window is in Huangpuqiang. It is a mother river of Shanghai.
OK. 好。好，现在是正常了，对吗？OK. 好，我们来轮流一下。Thank you. 那么给大家展示一下，其实纳旗袍、纳美学在十年多了以来，一直是行走世界，希望能够把现代感的华人服饰传扬给世界，成为友谊的一个桥梁。
Miss Yang founded Qipao in May 2012 in Paris in the pursuit of ideal beauty for women. She then went back to Shanghai and founded her own Qipao studio, quickly gaining popularity and fame among Qipao enthusiasts across the globe. Her studio was featured in more than 300 channels internationally, and she had appeared in countless interviews on different media channels, bringing a China new look to the world.
Thank you， 好，那么大家可以看到，其实旗袍是可以非常缤纷的，可以各种各样的，而不止于在你的一个单纯的想象中。我们刚才也看到孙教授所展示的民国时期旗袍的繁盛所以希望现代的旗袍能够更加的绮丽，在美好的基础上能够体现现代华人的多元灵魂。
Miss Yang is a firm believer that Qipao can be worn in all kinds of occasions and is not restricted to women with the ideal body shape.
OK， 对，在其实各个场景之下，我们大家都会想要说，哎，我会有一件什么样的旗袍可以适合于我？那么我的身材是瘦是胖然后当然文雅一点说，我是很苗条的，是不是没有那个穿旗袍的曲线？包括我是很丰腴的，是不是不可以去触碰旗袍？但这些在我们的设计系统里通通的没有问题，因为旗袍是一个人性的产物。所以设计只要挖掘人的共性，然后赋予它个性，就会非常的美丽。Please.
People express their concerns. Can I still wear Qipao if I'm not slim or skinny? Don't worry, Miss Yang has designed Qipao to make sure everyone can have their own Qipaos and wear it with confidence. A good Qipao brings out the inner beauty of the wearer. It acts as a bridge between a person's heart and the world. Qipao is all about self-expression.
OK， 设计的语言是非常多元的。那我们现在来看一下我们的馆藏展览海派旗袍展，它从清代到民国陈列了无数的发展的这样的款式。让我们来看一下，对其中的几件 ，please.
And now let's take a look at the wonderful Qipao collection. It is a personal collection of Miss Yang, and she kindly loaned her collections towards the museum. As you can see on the picture on the left, it is a traditional long pao, the formal attire of the emperor. And as you see on the two Qipaos on the right, that's from a collection of people of Republic era. And Miss Yang will tell us just in a minute of how their design changed and how it has evolved through the course of history.
龙袍呢和现代的旗袍，它的最大的区别不是在于不仅在于它的纹样表示等级，那么更重要在它的一个形制，就是它的 style 我们知道清代和民国最大的差别就是清代的袍子都异常的宽大，而民国就开始紧缩，符合人的人体。这里边是 OK， 好的，这里边是属于人性的差别，可以重点来翻译。形制是出于人性的差别。
Long Pao is the name of the formal attire of Chinese emperors. As the name suggests, it is embroidered with a dragon or jade serpent pattern. The cuts and design come from Manchu, a nomadic tribe permanent in riding horses and hunting. Long Pao is embroidered with intricate patterns such as the sun, the moon, constellations, mountains, jade serpents, all representing the 12 wisdom and virtues of the emperors, collectively known as the 12 patterns. Emperors from the Qing dynasty applied the 12 patterns extensively, suggesting their adaptations to Chinese culture. Longpao acts similar to a family emblem, telling people what their family and ranks through the cuts of colors, etc. There is no individualism.
好，谢谢。其实在这里讨论的，我们并不是讨论历史，而是在教大家可以看到，在清代妇女或者是说人穿在衣服里，它是被衣服所笼罩所以说而民国之后，出于全世界的人性的解放男女的平等，所以我们的女装旗袍才有了自己这个 body 的呈现。OK， 好，简短的可以进行。Thank you.
As you can see in the longpao in the left, the cuts are very broad, as if acting as a net that draped over the body, and this acts more like a restraint to the body rather than a self-expression through the body. But clearly on the right, in the picture on the right, we can see that the qipao has a more body-fitting cuts, signifying that it came from a collectivism culture to transition to a more individualist culture, where individuals are free to express themselves through their own clothing.
好，如果你还没有到那个我们华人博物馆去看这个展欢迎大家，在美国的大家可以前往细细的去观赏。
You're very welcome to the Chinese American Museum to have a look of our exhibitions.
好的，对的，我们在孙教授的演讲和这个前面的一个图片里都可以看到，其实即使是贵为皇后她依然她的服装是代表她的门庭，她背后的父权。OK。
As you can see in the longpao on the left of the slides above, even if it's the empress clothing, it still represents the patrimony behind the empress and her family. There's no feminism at that time by the end of Qing dynasty.
而这一对姐妹旗袍非常值得去观赏，我也知道它在展览中在一个非常重要的位置上，是因为其实它流落到今天，我们可以看到当时的妇女她的着装是多么的 fashion 时髦这样漂亮的蕾丝放在今天也是叹为观止的，它是手工的蕾丝。那么这样一对别具匠心的旗袍，它彰显了这个姐妹之间丰富的这种性格有共性又有个性，它的不同，这是我的收藏品之一，它来自于欧洲。
This is a pair of sister qipao. All laces are handcrafted to express the beauty of a woman, and sleeveless qipao can display the natural beauty of woman. The green qipao is actually a suit with the little overcoat. It can be worn in formal occasions, and green and blue color design can represent the similarities in individuals of two sisters.
好的，接下来我们就其实要看一下旗袍的这种色彩呀，旗袍的各种的造型，怎么样去适合我们中国女人，真正的去呈现我们的个性。
Now we are gonna take a look at the color design of qipao and how it can fit for people across better skin tones to better bring out the inner beauty of women, which is what qipao is designed to be.
Thank you， 好的，所以创立了那旗袍，是因为每个女人都向往那个我，也就是更加完美的自我。好 ，please。
That is why Miss Yang has founded Na Qipao to bring out the ideal qipao for every woman across the world, regardless of nationality or cultural heritage.
好的，现代旗袍的设计呢，它是不拘的其实在民国旗袍的基础上，现在的人进化了80多年所以我们的旗袍完全是有资格日新月异，而且现在我们的华人行为半径生活节奏、审美、外交所有的一切都与时俱进，所以我们的形制也会集世界之大美与我们的袍身，真的是非常非常棒的完美的一件服饰了。OK。Please.
This modern style of qipao design, it is a fusion of Chinese and Western styles blending Western lace elements with Eastern subtle simplicity, showing the awakening of Chinese women's feminism and self-awareness. This style of qipao adapts to different body types and suits people from all over the world.
好的，让我们来过一过，看一看。这里是世界各地的女性，所以其实我是把旗袍视为像西装一样啊，西装可以成为全世界男性的一个真的身份的象征。那么我们的旗袍也有它的价值，成为全世界女性衣橱里一件最美的服饰。Please.
While designing qipao, Miss Yang is a firm believer that if suits can be the dress for men across the globe, qipao also has a very potential to be the go-to dress for women across the globe in all occasions, regardless of culture and nationality.
好，我们来看像这样一张面孔那么我们可以看到，有的人适合穿暖色，有的人适合穿冷色。那么这个的差别，你要怎么来做选择呢 ？Please.
There are people who have cooler skin tones suitable to cool tones such as blue, green, purple, black, and white. On the other hand, there are also people who have warmer skin tone suitable for warm colors such as orange, red, and pink.
在设计里，我们首先做了色彩的一个研究根据华人的肤色以及西洋人，其实主要是皮肤里边的色素它的含量比例不同。OK， 像色彩，那么偏暖色的表达你的热情，同时也特别适合皮肤里胡萝卜色素含量高的我们的亚洲人。那么冷色调就像海水，像冰川，更代表人的理智。所以说，我们可以选择这个冷色的服饰，穿在一些职业的场合表达你的这种专业度、智慧。
Colors of qipao color choices of qipao can be worn in different occasions. For example, if you have a warmer skin tone, as just said, you are more suitable to wear a warmer colored qipao like red, orange, and yellow to show that you are a warm, welcoming, and a friendly person. But if you have a cooler skin tone, or if you want to wear qipao in a business formal occasion, the cooler skin tones such as green, blue, and purple are more suitable for you to show your professionalism and rationality.
对，关于色彩的奥秘有很多，所以说并不是有一些色彩不适合我，而是说其实有一个非常细腻的解读所以在那 design 里边为每一位客户都可以做到最优化的一个色彩去呈现你最大的魅力。
那qipao is committed to expressing the individuality and freedom of the wearers, the charm and beauty of the design, as well as the beauty of China, regardless of culture and nationality.
Thank you， 好的，甚至包括礼仪，包括配饰所以我说，其实旗袍可以是一个很国际化的服饰，因为其实在西方的设计师，他们也有很多跟东方人所相通的审美比如 Coco Chanel， 那么它的其实珍珠这种配饰跟东方人温润的性格和这个光泽的皮肤是非常的陪衬，我们同样可以把它放在旗袍的搭配上包括礼帽。包括外套都是一些非常好的场合着装，所以我们可以用它来丰富我们的旗袍造型。Please.
Miss Yang is a firm believer that culture is all interconnected and that people across the world all have the privilege to share this culture. It is to her, culture is all about expression of beauty. Here, as shown in the slides, this is a design of Chanel. And the design is surprisingly similar to the traditional Chinese design. As you can see in the picture, there's a lot of applications of pearls, and pearl is a perfect fit for qipao. It is not as glamorous as diamonds, which perfectly represents women's modesty, an important aspect of traditional Chinese culture.
非常的棒，好的，所以那么通过首先第一层是外表的这种漂亮，漂亮其实是最容易达到的，但是第二层就是得体，得体就在于你的礼，在于场合的选择，所以中国是礼仪之邦，也是孔子先生他提出来像以文兴国然后这个礼仪的名号已经传遍世界，所以我们华人最注重的不仅是要漂亮，更重要是要把你的旗袍穿对场合。在这里我做了8大场合的分类，刚才看到公务、商务生活包括社交，日间的社交，像这样的服饰就非常得体，有你的色彩，然后穿到一个对的场合，它有这样内心和世界的一种连接充分体现你的内涵。那包括这一组是上河系的设计，大家可以看到熟悉的中国的这个很棒的艺术品，就是《清明上河图》，它是流转于皇帝和江洋大盗之间，是一个非常传奇的绘画作品，所以是举世公认的。我们可以用这些元素来表达旗袍的文化性和美。
There are different qipao for different occasions. When you are the host of social event, you can wear shiny clothes like red. Etiquette is an important aspect of Chinese culture, so qipao also adhere to this principle. The qipao design is formal, has solemn and elegant colors with simple cuts. Made from straight and tall fabric, the length of the robe is below the knee with leg slits.
这一位呢是世界小姐全球冠军的获得者，她这个战袍也是我们的设计所以说有一个王者的盘扣和一个整幅清明上河图的一个裙摆，充分代表了民族的世界的。好。
The design, as you can see in the middle, is a champion of Miss World. When designing her qipao, Miss Yang incorporated the famous Chinese landscape painting Qingming Shanghe Tu into the design. And as you can see on the cuts and the buttons on the neck, it is the Chinese character for Wang, which is the queen character in China, in Chinese, signifying her beauty queen status in Miss World Champion.
包括典礼包括婚礼，包括很多的庆典，都是我们的人生的高光时刻。所以这个时候，如果有一个中国元素的设计你来穿着，这个是非常有意义的，并且也是真的是 glamour 非常的好，谢谢。
The qipao design for celebrations and festivities has elegant and classic colors, unique and artistic styles, and complicated designs paired with eye-catching, personalized accessories.
好的，这里大家可以看到纳世界的丰富的内容有设计，那么有旅行有风格，有沙龙有这个课堂可以给大家提供一个完美的这样一个学习和知行合一的场所。Okay, please.
As you can see on the slide, Miss Yang's Qipao studio, Na Qipao, has developed a whole system to educate the general public about the design principle of Qipao, and she has developed a sophisticated system to tailor fit to the customer needs.
好，非常的感谢华人博物馆做的这个邀请，能够跟大家分享这些宝贵的一些概念。那么其实有更多的那个内容值得我们学习。我觉得旗袍是中华女性她修养的一个最好的道具，它可以陪伴你收获到你人生的一种个人的完美，以及可以中华女性是每一个人都是华美的代言人所以我们大家可以通过穿旗袍来践行自己的美丽的人生。
The tailor-made qipao is the perfect companion for women's self-cultivation. The brilliant colors of the qipao help women to enrich themselves. The ultimate goal of wearing a well-fitting qipao is to cultivate the wisdom of an individual. The concept of Na Qipao's aesthetics blends the East and West, transcends nationalities and cultures, and showcases the beauty and wisdom of women. bring Chinese aesthetics to the international stage. I sincerely thank the Chinese American Museum and all of our webinar attendees.
Okay, thanks, Vice President Jenny and Joanna. Thanks, 谢谢我的2位翻译者。好的，那我现在把时间重新交给我们的主持人，进行下面的环节。欢迎大家来上海，谢谢大家的关注。
谢谢。All right, I think next we're going to hear from Julia, who's going to show us some of her. Are you going to talk about it, or are you also going to show some of your collection?
I just talk about.
Okay.
I was not told to show my collection, so I didn't prepare.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Okay. So you want to stop the share screen?
Yeah. I think you could just share over top of this one, and then it'll end this one.
Thank you.
I think you can control, David. You are host. You can control to stop the sharing.
Okay, try that now. Mingming, if you could hear us, can you stop your screen sharing so that
杨
Julia
老
can...
师，对，杨老师，你能不能停止一下共享屏幕？好了 ，OK， 谢谢杨老师。Okay, hi everyone. My name is Julia James. My Chinese name is Sun Zhuqing. I'm so happy to be invited here to share my love of Qipao with everyone. So thank Chinese American Museum to invite me to be here. And as a Qipao lover, I think my love of Qipao started ever since I came to US 24 years ago. When I was in China, I didn't realize, because I see Qipao a lot, I didn't realize it's so special as a Chinese to wear Qipao. Ever since I came to this country, I saw whenever I wear Qipao going out, American people just always say, oh, it's so pretty. So I realized that Qipao is symbolized for Chinese people. So I started to collect more and more Qipao. So I have I think I have over at least 40 pieces of Qipao. The Qipao has different styles. The reason I like Qipao is because it shows our body shape so well. Mainly as a female, we want to show our waist, our hip, and our bust. So the Qipao really show our body shape exactly the way, the most pretty way. But Qipao is not just designed for Chinese ladies. I think people from every culture can wear Qipao. It just shows as the female, as a lady, how elegant we are. And so it makes us, when you wear Qipao, you need to pay attention to your posture and your body shape. So that is like a force us to care about our beauty, our outside looking. That's why I like Qipao. Of course, as the time goes by, I started to teach Qipao dance and a Qipao fashion show. Especially this year, I work with my very good partner, Susan. We have a DMV Qipao fashion group. We have the classes training every week. Right now, we offer class 2 times a week. Tuesday is for the beginning learners, and Saturday afternoon is for advanced Qipao lovers. So we gave the basic training from the basic fundamental dance movements to how to show the Qipao fashion show and the Qipao dance. So our group just offer class to everybody who loves Qipao, who want to share Qipao's beauty with the whole world. So in my mind, Qipao is mobile beauty show. So my mission for our group is help every ladies who love the beauty, who love the life to achieve the goal. And so our mission, I want to help everybody to meet beauty, understand the beauty, discover beauty, and chasing beauty becomes beauty and enjoy beauty. So that's the mission for our Qipao group. I hope more and more people can join our Qipao group. We can participate in all kinds of shows to show the Qipao beauty to the whole world. Okay, that's my sharing. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you. All right, well, I invite everybody to turn their cameras back on. And, you know, there was a question from the audience, which I think is pertinent. And, you know, it may not be as obvious to those of us overseas, but there has been some discussion here in the US about is it appropriate for non-Asians to wear Qipao dresses? Some people I think see it as a celebration of culture, but others see it as cultural appropriation. So I was curious to hear your thoughts about that, whether, you know, maybe subjectively or objectively, about you know, whether that's something that should cause a pause, I think, before people wear you know, wear Qipaos in the West.
So you want me to answer or Ms.
Sure.
Yang? Okay.
We'll all chip in.
Okay, so I was just talking about our Tuesday class is for the beginners, and actually we have the Caucasian girl in my class. She doesn't know any Chinese, but she follows the music. She follows the steps very well, and she enjoyed herself. And for the last 2 nights, we participated in the DC, the rooftop Moon Festival event. And I just stayed there, talked to a lot of American ladies about our Qipao group. A lot of people are interested in our training. So they want to try Qipao. They want to learn how to show the elegance of Qipao show. Yeah, I think everybody can do it.
Right. Dr. Sun, what you know, what discussions have you run across regarding this? And, you know, what are your thoughts?
I think first of all, I feel like beauty really can be appreciated by, you know, people across the culture. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think, yeah, Qipao is really an art form. Ms. Yang also, I think, talk about, you know, really, you know, the design of the Qipao is supposed to be, you know, the modern design of Qipao, contemporary design of the Qipao is supposed to be, I think, the integration of East and West. So I feel like having women from other ethnic background, you know, wearing Qipao also help, you know, how to help, you know, preserve, I think, the culture heritage, I feel like, yeah.
It certainly has to be looked at, I think, in the context that it's being worn. You know, is it truly something that is celebrating and appreciating a culture, or is it something that is truly like stealing it to, you know, for other reasons? But Lauren and Leah, how you have the younger perspective. So what, I mean, you've probably heard of some things like that. I think there was a pretty visible case of a high school student that wore a Qipao dress to her prom, and I think it had a lot of mixed reviews. You're muted.
I'm sorry. Sorry, we're muted. I feel like everybody has the right to wear qipao. It is not restricted to the Chinese background. And as all the wonderful speakers of this webinar has said, qipao is really an international dress, not restricted by a specific ethnicity or culture or nationality whatsoever. So everybody should have the right to be in love with this beautiful dress. I mean, what kind of people wouldn't be fall in love with this kind of traditional culture and beauty, and just very promoting this kind of inclusive, diverse culture.
I've heard of this discussion for a long time, and
later.
Sorry.
Okay. I heard of the discussion of whether like people not doesn't belong to the Chinese ethnic group is a kind of cultural appropriation like that. But for me, I think personally, I think it's a way of advertising the Chinese culture to globally, and also it's a way of combining the Western and the Chinese culture. As Mr. Yang said, it's a kind of the modern day qipao design had borrowed a lot of elements from the Western clothes and also combining with the Chinese style. So I think it's pretty necessary, I think.
好，我也来说两句就是关于女性表达优雅是每个女性的天性追求。对，那么我们说旗袍里的文化性是在于它可以把中华民族是关于谦逊优雅这一部分能够体现得好，那么我们就希望能够了解优雅何在。优雅呢我认为从这个儒学的观念来说，它是一种低调后退的表现，也就是说你可以是一个优秀的人，但是这个雅呢就需要你其实向后退一步，能够看到更多的全貌，能够在全局里边找到自己合适的位置，然后去做出你的行为，这样你的美丽的服饰才能够代表你的心灵，所以也是中国人常讲的身心合一这样的一个状态真的是处处会受人欢迎，因为你传递的是敬与爱。所以我们在国内有一个就是学习的机构叫做中华文促会就是traditional fashion 然后 working commit 这样一个机构来为大家做这个持续的提升，所以旗袍是中华女性的形象工程希望大家都能够内外兼修。
Ms. Yang is a firm believer that it is human nature and also every woman's nature to pursue beauty. So she welcomes every woman across the globe to try and wear a qipao. And she also mentioned that there's a committee in China called Traditional Clothing Committee that is actively promoting qipao culture and Chinese culture. So if everyone is interested, look up online and you are more than welcome into this wonderful community.
One thing that, and I see it in the audience comments, people are always asking the museum, what can I do with my collection of qipao dresses that belong to my mother or my grandmother? And as a museum, we really don't have the capacity to take in all these qipao dresses. But I kind of wonder, should someone start collecting these dresses and creating perhaps a library of qipao dresses that could be checked out like a library book, or at least appreciated in some way, because I feel like there are many qipao dresses out there maybe legacy garments that are, quietly hidden in chests and drawers, but should be appreciated by others.
I want to talk a few sentences, David.
Sure.
Recently, we just got our own studio at McLean in Virginia, and since I myself has over 40 pieces of qipao there, and in my studio we have a small room, but not too small, but it's a little room. I'm planning on putting my own qipao there, so whoever want to see the different styles of qipao are welcome to our studio to look at the qipao. And my partners and our students, everybody has a lot of qipaos. Maybe we can set a time to put a qipao there for all the people, especially American people, go there to take a different look at the qipao.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Julia, in there, I think I may have heard an offer to be a repository for qipao dresses that people want to donate to the museum.
Oh,
so you could become our qipao collection.
Okay, no problem. Yes.
Someone else was asking, and I think we've addressed this to some extent, but our qipao dresses can be for different body types, but someone asked, can mature women wear qipao dresses? And I'll say that we had a qipao show at the University of DC, and there were older women wearing qipao dresses in the dance show that were very elegant and lovely. So I think that's part of the proof right there.
对，其实旗袍秀是非常受人欢迎的啊，我也觉得，不管是在中国的国内还是海外，旗袍每到一个地方，大家都会哇哦这样子，然后对，所以它的真的充满吸引力啊，其实我觉得旗袍秀这个真的是一个登上舞台的动作，真的是需要充满一个敬畏，所以我们也在不断的把更多的文化形式投入到这个秀里边啊，所以也很乐意跟美国的朋友来做一些交流啊，把一些更有创意的更富有艺术性的不仅是简单动作的一些形式啊，能够传递到世界的面前，也希望外国的朋友。就比如 David 可以给你的创意给到我们 China Lady join us welcome.
Someone just asked, what do you think of Guopei's designs?
Yeah.
That's a question to you.
Question,
Lauren.
We are sorry, which question? Can you repeat that question?
Someone asks, what does Yang Mingming think of Guopei's designs?
问我是如何那个评价郭培设计师是吗？
是的，是的。
我们的观众很有水准哈，好。知道我们的郭培设计师，他是一位非常有热情的醉心于挖掘中国传统并且能够把美好的工艺复原的一位设计者啊，他富有的激情，我非常的敬佩啊，而且在郭培女士设计她的一系列的奥运的服装的时候，我还曾经对这个系列的服装加以解读，所以我觉得在复古传统以及就是这种非常辉煌的这个制式以及 luxury 这种豪华感的体现上，郭培女士做到了 一个相当高的水准。在民用的服装上，可能大家也可以想要更加漂亮但这个时候也就需要注重一下环境，然后自己的角色，比方说，如果你是一个主要的主角，你是一个组织者，你是主宾都是可以穿着郭培女士设计的这种服装的造型是非常的棒的。那么其他的款式我了解的不太多我通常是通过一些 news 来知道，所以说我的点评希望对大家有所帮助。
Ms. Yang believes that Guo Pei is a very, very passionate and talented designer, and she has seen her design for the clothing for the Olympics held in Beijing in 2008. She said that it is a design that perfectly represents the design principle of Qipao, which is not only to bring out the beauty of women, but also fits for the occasion. And Ms. Yang commented that Guo Pei's design adhere to that principle to the best possible degree, and she really appreciated her design.
So someone's just asked again how long the Qipao exhibit will be at the museum, and I believe it'll be up until October 14th. There's a new show coming in after that. Mingming, someone was asking about your website, so we will include the website in an email to all the registrants of the webinar. So we'll follow up with that. Julia, could you talk a little bit more about your studio? People are asking where exactly is it? And
yeah, I'm trying to come up with some words put in the chat. So
okay, good.
Yeah, we have actually 3 studios. Rockville has a studio. McLean will be our new but permanent long-term studio, and we have another long-term studio is Woodbridge. So McLean and Woodbridge are all in Virginia, and Maryland studio is at Rockville. So I think I post my phone number in the chat. Did you guys see that? So whoever is interested in the information can send me a text message. I'll text you the detailed information because I didn't.
We'll also put your information in the follow-up email to the registrants. So
okay.
Look out for that as well.
Okay.
So I guess one question is, Qipaos in many ways have evolved a little over their history, and it's in a way it's kind of a short history. It's more of a modern dress. But do you feel like it's still changing? Do you feel like it's still evolving a little bit? Is it starting to get some more modern influence injected back into Qipao design?
Yes. Let me answer this question. I want to show everybody a little bit of the Qipao I'm wearing today. So I cannot show my whole body. So this is a modernized Qipao. It's not traditional Qipao. Traditional Qipao won't have this kind of design here, and it has the side button, but this one doesn't have this side button. And traditional Qipao on this side, they have the openings, but this one, it doesn't have the openings, like it's closed. So it's the combination of the traditional Qipao and the evening dress. So make it more fashion. So like normally people were asking in the chat about the Qipao dance. What is Qipao dance? When we do the Qipao dance, we wear the traditional Qipao because the material is light. So when you dance, so it's more active when you dance. It's a lighter material and it has opening on the side. You can open your legs a little bit. But when we do the Qipao fashion show, normally everybody wear the modernized Qipao. It's like a fashion show on the tea stage. So it's different style of 旗袍 for different performance.
Right, right.
我认为刚才 David 提了一个非常有趣的问题，也就是旗袍走入生活，它是否跟西式的服装有一些夹克呀，有一些各种的设计。那我展示一件我的设计哈，其实呢，我身上这一件大家其实看到已经变化很大了，因为现在的人们不像过去，因为旗袍过去的领型如此的封闭，是在于女性的修养被要求少说话。而现代不是这样的，女性有大量的话语权，所以真的很多的女性是不能承受这样子啊。但是我们可以把其中的一个改良，就是把她的旗袍领落下来，那么这个就可以穿到日装商务场合，非常的棒。OK， 下摆是一个打开的，便于行走，口袋啊，你可以放你的cell phone 好，那么我再展示这样一个 jacket， 看起来像西装，请允许我在这里穿上它 OK， 那么看起来它像一件西装，但是它可以中西两用，那这样是一个西式的感觉，但其实当我把领子扶起来的时候，它是东方的 OK， 好，这里一个小竹子扣让我好好的扣上它。因此它是很东方的，很简洁的。那同时如果有的时候你需要变化，你是可以把它变成西装jacket yeah。
So you can combine the Qipao with some modern accessories.
对，这里立体的建筑廓形，有一点艺术感，可以呈现你的个性。对，我想这应该是，就是说现代的旗袍、现代的审美、现代的面料，未来我们下一代可以从这些作品身上看到我们这一辈当下世界上的一些存在的物质比如说它是很真实的，你能够看到这个时代的样貌这个时代的人是怎样的一种生活，一种怎样的爱好。好，谢谢。
All right, well, I think we are just about out of time. I don't know if anyone had any final thoughts about Qipaos and how everybody should be wearing one. I'd like to thank Mingming Yang, Dr. Sun, Julia James, and our translators Lauren and Leah. If you are in the greater DC area, we invite you to come to the Qipao exhibit at the museum, which should be running through October 14th. And also, if in October, be sure to join us at the Kennedy Center for our Gold Lantern Awards on October 13th. And more information is available at our website. And as I mentioned, information about our panelists will be sent out in a follow-up email. This webinar was also recorded, so if you want to watch it again or share it with someone else, it'll be on our YouTube channel, typically in about a week. So thank you so much for joining us. I've learned a lot as always, and everyone have a great rest of your day.